Hello and welcome to RPG Tips again. In this video, I'm going to talk about the crafters, the Adventure Crafter and the Location Crafter, two of the most, well, not unknown, but less known products of World Game, the brand that produces the Mythic Game Master Emulator, which I've covered extensively on this channel. As they are both quite similar and not that long, I've chosen to cover both on one video, and I will cover the last Mythic book, the Adventure Crafter, in the next video. I'm going to start with the Creature Crafter. The headline of the book is Create Monsters for any role-playing game in advance or on the spot. And it does what it says, actually. I think it's a bit less than 40 pages. It's very short, sweet and simple. So what is the process that this book gives us in order to create monsters on the fly? Well, you first start with a baseline. You think about what the average statistics of a creature would be. You can do this in several methods. The first one is based on your character average, which can give you sort of a Skyrim approach in which the world grows in peril with you. The second one would be by thinking about what the creature that you're trying to represent would be. Let's say, for example, you want to create a dragon, then you can get a baseline idea of what it could be, and then you can alter it randomly with a Creature Crafter. And the third method is just improvise, do whatever you want. Then we get into a concept called potency, which is a metric of how high or low a specific statistic of a monster, like the health, the strength, the defense, is. Please note that these values are generic, so because they are intended to work with any role-playing game, you would then have to translate them to your specific game. So, for example, defense would be AC in Dungeons & Dragons. So then the Creature Crafter makes you roll on a table to determine the potency of your creature. This potency is measured in a percentage, which you apply then to the baseline. So for instance, you may roll that a creature is an 80% stronger than the baseline, but 20% less intelligent than your baseline. Then the Creature Crafter tells you to roll on the number of creatures that you find. If you're sure that the creature you're going to find is unique, well then you don't. But it's a nice way of randomizing things. And one good thing that the Creature Crafter does is that it modifies the potency that you have rolled based on the number of creatures you rolled. So you won't find a flock of 80% stronger dragons, which would probably... Then you determine the creature size, and then you go into for me, the meat and potatoes of this book, which is the type of the creature. There are lots of types, namely alien, animal, animated, elemental, humanoid, supernatural beast, amorphous, plant, undead, and insect. 10 types that cover mostly what you would find in a bestiary. These types are more than just basic categories. They will give you, for example, basic abilities like intelligence, mobility, and modifiers to the potency table that you have rolled previously, like health, speed, defense, and offense modifiers. Apart from that, there are also 1d100 description tables separated by type. So for example, you may get an insect that is winged and aquatic, or an undead creature that is cold and mummified. And there's also the possibility of making you roll on another table, giving you much more variety than just being restricted to 1d. Lastly, there's just one 1d100 table of special abilities that your creature may have. This can be, for instance, that your creature has a ranged attack, or it's incorporeal, or it has a life drain. There's a neat variety. And that's the whole process. I hope that I've been able to transmit that it's extremely simple, and it produces very thematic and cool results. I must say that I've used it sparingly because normally I have lots of bestiaries and random tables to generate monsters. So for me, the usefulness of this book is mostly academic, one might say. I value its development. I think that it's extremely well done, but I don't find it extremely useful in my games because there are just hundreds and hundreds of bestiaries. And normally generating a unique monster is not that special. But again, I want to emphasize that if you ever find yourself in a situation in which generating a random monster is crucial, you can do better than the Creature Crafter. Okay, we move now to the Location Crafter, the second book I wanted to talk about today. The headline of the Location Crafter is similar to the one we found before. Create adventure locations for any role-playing game in advance or on the spot. It's actually the same, substituting location by creature. So this book first defines some vocabulary. When it talks about a region, it's just any area that your character is going to explore, a haunted mansion, a mountain, a jungle, whatever you want. Then categories, which are just lists, and there are 3 of them: locations, encounters, and objects. Then we move to elements, which are details that populate the region. And lastly, a scene, which is a specific location generated on the fly. Lastly, it specifies that a region which we've seen as the area that you want to explore, can be defined as a combination of locations, encounters, and objects. Now, what's the process of generating a region? Well, you just have to fill 3 lists: the locations, encounters, objects lists. And you fill them with elements. And there are several categories of elements. They are custom, which is when you define them. For instance, if I know that in my vampire castle I want to find a chapel, then I would add it to the locations list. Then you have expected, which is a very clever resource in populating your location without having to think about colorful, unique locations every time. Expected is just, well, what you would expect to find. So if you're at the vampire castle, well, I would probably expect to find long corridors and empty, grey, big rooms. Well, there you go. That's your expected location. An expected encounter in a vampire castle would be skeletons or zombies. Easy canon fodder locations to pad your list. Then there is none as an element, which gives you a spacing mechanism. Then there's random, which is a way of giving you some unexpected results. You don't know what it is until you roll on that, and then you generate that randomly. Second to last, the special element, in which you've got a table of, I think it's 10 results, which give you, well, some wacky results, like something good happens, something bad happens, your room is supersized. Lastly, there is the complete element, which means that you have finished that area. So you populate your 3 lists, the locations, encounters, objects, and then you roll 3d6 and assign the results of each die to an element in each of the lists. That way you will get a random combination of a location, an encounter, and an object. This way you know the bare bones of what you're going to find, but you don't know the exact things you're going to find. And the more random results you include, the more, well, random and unexpected your location is going to be. But even if you include lots of custom results, you never know what you're going to find and where. Furthermore, you could even house rule this a bit and include that for every location you find, you're going to change that with a detailed check that we saw in Mythic Variations 2. This book is also special because it includes 2 sets of random tables. One to generate descriptions and the other to generate actions. In fact, these were ported to Mythic Variations 2. And again, that's it. That's a whole process of generating a location with a location crafter. I really hope that I've been able to communicate the process because it's extremely simple. It may not sound as such in a spoken way, but if you read it, it's really clear. In fact, I think the book is just 40 pages and half of it is examples. And once you see the examples, as always with Mythic, it really clicks. It's very simple and very easy to use. I would really recommend this book. In fact, it is my opinion that this book is the most elegant solution in the Mythic range of products. The Mythic Game Master Emulator is, well, the granddaddy. That's where everything comes from. But the Location Crafter is just so easy to use and it's so powerful because, contrary to the Creature Crafter, you're not always going to be generating monsters on the fly, but your character is going to be exploring a world. The Location Crafter gives you a very simple tool to explore a world, and as such, I love it. In fact, I still have to include it on my scripting library, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go and see my previous video, Resources and Tools. But I really plan on doing it. And that's it. I've got a feeling that this video is probably going to be the shortest one in my channel, but the Creature Crafter and the Location Crafter really deserve your attention, especially the Location Crafter, in my opinion. On my next video, I will talk about the Adventure Crafter, which is the 3rd sibling on the Crafter book range. And spoiler alert, it's also really good. And well, if you have any doubt, please hop by the Discord, the subreddit, or just leave a comment and I will be extremely happy to help you. As always, I hope you learned something, I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye.